Hello, aloha, and servus. Welcome to Koho Luna, Living Spiritual Greatness. I'm your host, Meiwengel, and I want to invite you on a journey to get to know and to be reminded of your spiritual greatness and how you can live it consciously so that you can create the life you desire. We are all spiritual beings here on earth to have a human experience, and when we focus on this, we are able to create paradise on earth. Come join me in this movement to make this world a better place by letting go of our fears, old patterns, attachments, and resistance. 3 Punkte aufzeichnen und dann... Yay! Hast du Cloud aufzeichnen?
Yes.
Perfect. So sorry. Servus, aloha, and welcome everybody here to the Koho Luna podcast. Everybody listening in. We've had some technical problems, so everybody on Facebook just had to go through us talking and trying to grab people on Instagram.
Thank you guys that you are still there. Can you see us? Can you hear us?
Yes, give us a quick shout out for those of you that are live on the group. We're doing a little community, would it be called community? No, cooperation, Kim and I. So this is going on Kim's Facebook group live, and I'm recording it for my podcast for you guys to listen because I definitely wanted to share this topic with you guys. Kim is a beautiful, wonderful friend that I met. Oh my God, we're almost at 2 years. We're almost at 2 years.
God, 2 years. We are celebrating our 2 years.
Almost 2 years. Oh. No, we met on a teacher training, women's circle teacher training on Kopanjan, Thailand, and it was just, I would say it was love at first sight. We just really liked each other. We shared a lot of things in that group, and we've been following each other around the world. We haven't seen each other ever since physically, but we've talked a lot and followed all our steps. And one of the beautiful things in Kim's path was human design, and this is what we're going to be talking about today. Because once she got on it, she showed me, and I got on it too. Well, I didn't learn about it because, I just left that to Kim. Kim's so wonderful. Why should I learn?
Oh my God.
She does a good job, so I don't. But I think it's an amazing thing that should be shared with everybody. But before we get started, let's just start with a quick one. Hi, Kim. Who are you? Say hello to everybody, and I don't know, just give a quick introduction as of who you are and what you do.
Oh my God, that's a big question. Whoa. Okay, who am I? My name is Kim. I created the company The Heart of a Woman, das Herz einer Frau, I think approximately 2 years ago. And it came a little bit, I had a very wild way in the last couple of years, and I found a way to bring now everything together, which for me is very, very beautiful. Now living in Lima with my boyfriend, like in Peru, having traveled the last 2 years, collecting a lot of new knowledge about the body, about the psyche, about how everything works together, and then bringing it together in my own travel, which was 2 years ago. And I found when I did that I need a name, like something I can put it underneath. And so, I think I was walking with one of my friends. We went to the park and we talked about like, how could I name my company? And then somehow it came, I want to work with women. My first travel, there were only 9 women, and as 9 women, no man. And I found that very beautiful, the work, like how women have space in, for example, something like a travel, like a retreat, to really go deep and connect with each other and find new ways to come out and feel stronger, and also to overcome that whole topic of competition and feeling like, oh my God, and I'm the only one, or oh my God, everyone is better than me. And I kind of felt so for the first time this moment of, this is really what I want. Like if I can bring this, everything I learned so far into something like this is really what I want to create. So right now, as you all know, travels aren't possible. But the other thing that somehow came into my life after the Forest Yoga Teachers training last year was then human design, and it was kind of also falling from the sky. And I didn't, to be honest to all of you, I didn't even know before what it was, but it was so genius. It was incredible. I was like, how is this even working? Like, whoa. And I wanted to know more. It was for the first time that I couldn't keep reading, researching, looking into it, getting in touch with people who also do it, because I realized, wow, this is better than any kind of psychology test. That's better than astrology. It gives you like a complete overview, but not so that you have the feeling afterwards, oh my God, and this is what I can't do. No, it's more like it gives you strength, it gives you power. And at the same way, you understand how energy works. Because, I mean, we are humans connected, interconnected with each other on daily basis. And there's more than touch, like all our senses. And often we can't describe it. And this is what human design does. And I was like, wow. So yeah, and then I put it into the whole concept, and I think it's growing, and I love it. I really love it.
I think it's amazing how you do, because you did the forest yoga training in Bali, I think it was, right? So you have on one hand a very physical work, and on the other hand, you're also doing the human design thing that helps people on both ways. So you get a whole a full body experience with all the things that you offer. I know you're offering yoga online right now, for yoga videos for some groups. That's really beautiful. Because you said it with the human design, it was I got a smile on my face, because I had a very, like, my spiritual path has, you know, taught me things and taught me a couple of things, and certain things that I was doing were hard for me to explain to other people, because it was feelings and it was emotions, and like you said, right, with all our senses, and I was missing the words and the explanations for certain things the way I am. So sometimes it was hard even for myself, because it made me sometimes feel distant from other people, not on purpose, but because I felt that for me it had to be different than for everybody else. And then I had my human design reading with you, and that was like, oh, of course, this is why now I have the words. Finally, this is like confirming all the things I felt, and finally I have the right words. But because we know about it, how would you explain to someone that has never heard about it, how would you explain human design to them?
I want to say one thing, because I thought it was really interesting. Like, I have my boyfriend, he's a psychologist, and he also, for me, in some ways, he works very scientifically. And for him, he's questioning it on a regular basis, which is challenging for me, but at the same time brings me in this area where I really can look at it from another point of view, and not just saying, okay, this is now what I have and this is what I'm getting and giving you, more from a level, okay, why does it work? Like, what is it that makes it so? And I think one thing what human design does also to differentiate from psychology, from astrology, is they look at the body in a energetic way. So they say, basically, they take the chakra system from basically, from the Indian culture, looking into the body, seeing it as an energy system, and also as an energy system that interacts with outside beings. So this is something we have to be really aware of. Why, for example, when we are in nature, why do we calm down? What is it that makes us calm down? And I think a huge part is that because we are taking this energy in, like energy is like the energy of nature is grounding. So, and I know for many of us, it's so hard to grasp, but this is also super interesting, because we talk a lot in human design about the head, and also the differentiation of the head as the third eye, our thoughts, and the head to the rest of the body. And the rest of the body, there can be our authorities. It's never the head. And this is super, super interesting to understand, that our inner voice is never the head, but we need our logic, we need our thoughts. And it's also a way human design explains, for example, how you can interact with your thoughts. Another element what human design does And there it's getting a little bit into spirituality, but also super amazing because it looks into your birth dates and also dates like 3 months before. And the founder of Human Design said, what, like for him, he believed in that our soul is deciding 3 months before birth, what is the challenge I want to take in this life? And what is the toolbox I'm going to get in order to face this challenge? What can I bring out there? And each time, I mean, I know in the most, I know the head people of you, the scientists of you, they're like, okay, wait a minute, what is she going to talk about? And I tell you guys, I hear that on a daily basis. I am not allowed so far to do the human design chart of my boyfriend, but he's getting more curious, and I'm like, So it's something to also understand. It's not like I'm going to tell you, and tomorrow you are going to find the man of your life. No, forget it. I won't also tell you on your birthday, your stars have been there. And this is because sometimes, yes, of course, it is about the planetary system. But then it's kind of like, I will not say, okay, and this is why when you are 28, this is going to happen. Never. Forget it. It's so much deeper. It gives you like this little toolbox. You can go around and kind of like, whoa, yeah, this is my superpower. And the other thing, what you can also see in this is there's there are different systems playing into that, but you also find pieces of Buddhism, you find pieces of psychology in human design. So it really gives you your design.
So it's basically, it is similar to astrology because you need to look into your birth date and into how the stellar constellation is during that time and the 3 months before, which is another difference to astrology. But instead of creating sort of like a timeline of things happening because of the stars on each day or each year of your life, it talks more about your character and how you are and what your gifts are, right?
I'm so happy that give me a second. I'm so happy that I already did your reading, because you can answer also a couple of questions, which is also then easier again for me. And I wanted to show you guys something just to get an idea of that. Which one do I take as an example? This is what you all have. Like, can you see it?
Yes.
More or less. So what we are working with when I do the charts, I basically also place the planets and the time, and it's kind of like a very complex system which is behind it, across each other. And then this is when the design itself starts. He's also working with different colors that has to do in which way your energy is in that time flowing. You also have like Kabbalah in it. You have different gates, which kind of stand for also different angles. How are the planets placed to each other, but as well as what kind of energies are you giving out in certain energy, how do you say, in certain, I mean, it's not chakras.
Timelines.
No, not timelines. I have done it so much in the last time in German. And I was like, which word is it? Like, yeah, just the energy center. So the lines that are coming out of the energy center, that are the gates. And it depends also if you have if you have closed gates, as if they're active or inactive. They can give you, for example, certain strength you can use. Let's say, for example, you're a person who has a lot of trouble to deal with stress and feels a lot of pressure from down below, from your root chakra. And that could also affect other people around you, because whenever there's pressure coming from the outside, it's like, oof. So, and then there's a line that goes out of this energy center, which is the 41, and that's a creative artistic energy. Which means, and I tell you to 100%, which for me was crazy so far, when I talk to people and they use this creative energy, it also depends on the rest of the chart. So it's really hard sometimes even to say this energy type is like this. It's bullshit. Whoever tells you that, that's one information. You have a huge chart and that makes you a unique being. But for example, in order to bring down the pressure and to have a healthy flow of energy in your root, it is good to use your creative energy. And for some, it can be music. For some, it can be artistic expression in form of painting or whatever. And with most people who have that, I talk to them like, oh yeah, right. When I was a child, or hey, I'm still doing that. Oh yeah, that's my profession. It's so crazy to get into that.
And that's, I think, one of the things that makes it so interesting, especially for people that are trying to find out either how to, because I mean, astrology can also tell you sort of in what direction you can go with your job or with your, how do you say, purpose in life. But I find that the difference to human design is that in human design, you can see way more of the characteristics, like how do I deal with things, like you just said, how do I, you know, what helps me to energize, but also how do I deal with decision making. You know, like what helps me to make a decision. And with that, knowing that, it's like giving you tools to create more in your life, you know, like to start taking the decisions that you need to do in your life.
Absolutely. And for example, a friend of mine who did the education with me, she has been using that for over, I think, 3 years in her marriage. And it's super interesting. And now with her kids, for you, like friends of yours, it was also family I was reading lately. And it's interesting because if you are getting there to understand where, for example, your kids are standing energy-wise, where you can support them, as well as how your husband, like, for example, what types of questions, there are people out there, and I swear to you, this is amazing. Yes and no questions. If you ask these people yes and no questions, plus you are giving them, for example, alternatives, it's much easier for them to answer. And you have much less stress in between each other because that person needs them in order to use their inner authority, so their inner voice that says, yes, that I want, no, that I don't want. If you ask other people, hey, do you, what would you like? They actually have, through the inner voice, an ability to go there, and you have to ask them these questions in an open way. But it's interesting how this works. I mean, I know also that is something I'm facing with my boyfriend, who's like, yeah, but I mean, he's, by the way, a type you have to ask yes and no questions, and it's working. It's 100% working. If you ask him, what do you want to do? No answer. And if you come with like, and then at some point he's like checking. And then he comes up with something. And this is amazing. So to understand that, it makes much more harmonious ground. Another thing is, for example, sleeping habits. You have energy types who are giving out a lot of energy when they sleep, which can also be energy they don't want to have themselves. If you are laying beside them and you have, for example, an open motor, like an open undefined center where you take energy in from the outside, you're taking this energy in of your partner. And there are so many cases where, for example, you sleep beside your partner, you love this person, but you wake up, you feel super tired, you feel super exhausted, or you are laying all night beside them and you feel you can't sleep. And then it's also recommendable to sometimes, if you have the possibility, just even if it's 2 nights or 1 night a week, to just stay with yourself and clean this energy center out. And to get an understanding of this, I do that. Once a week, I sleep alone because I am really like, I'm sucking that energy in. And I'm like, and since I'm doing that, I never understood that. And after human design, I was like, wow, this is amazing. And then I'm actually I feel better. And the thing about human design is it's also a lot of communication, because I think in general, we are so shy, or we have so many conditioning, which doesn't make it available for us or doesn't allow us to communicate honestly with the people around us we like and we love. So to say, you know what, doesn't matter if it's your human design or not, but I need that night, or this is right now what I need in order to be energetically equalized. People, for example, who need space for themselves, and that's a tough one. And so to get away in that, yeah.
I like that you're bringing that up, because that's one of the things, because I think in a lot of people in this world always define success with, you know, you have to get up very early in the morning, you have to start doing sports, and you have to do this and this and this, and, you know, like all the things you have to do. And for me, that's one of the things. It always felt wrong to do it. So at one point I just started doing it by myself, and I was still successful. I was still successful with everything that I was doing. Actually, I was feeling way better to just sleep in, to just get started later with work. And it's not that I'm not working, but in my mind, in the beginning, it always felt like I'm lazy because I'm not, you know, I'm not getting up. This is not, you know, like I don't have the discipline everybody else has. And after we had the reading, it was like, of course, I mean, I was already listening to myself and living it. But once we had the reading, it was like, yeah, of course, I have to allow myself to be this way. It was like a confirmation, follow that tribe, because clearly what you're doing, what is the right thing for you, because your human design is not made for those, how do you say, strong structures. I would call them strong structures.
I do combine human design with coachings, but what I found is most of the time I let the people who are booking the readings write in their topics, but I don't look on their websites, for example, or I don't look deeply in order to know who do I have in front of me. And for me, it's interesting in many, many cases, like you said, that especially these things are very matching. Like there are types, for example, they are very easily getting into the overdoing mode. And there are reasons for that. And then you can look into the chart, and then you can kind of give them tips and possibilities how they can deal with their own energy better and how they respect it better. And like I told you with the projectors, which is for me a very fascinating type, because the projector most of the time has a lot of open energy centers. For you guys out there, it means you you perceive a lot what is going on outside of you. And so remember, it doesn't have to be a hypersensible person, but it can be someone who comes into a room and everything is changing for them. They were calm, everything was cool. They come into the room and they're like, so to understand it is not you, it helps so much to understand, okay, these energy centers are open. This is what I'm perceiving from the outside world. By the way, this is something you can also use beautifully when you have certain work with people, because then you are knowing, okay, this is where I actually perceive the others. This is where I have my own energy going. And then to understand, and this is also really cool, you see in human design, for example, how people treat discipline. And I want to give an example. Because I have been at the some of you know it, maybe the seminars for the Germans in here from Tobias Beck. And I love that man. He's amazing. Like I had my most greatest experience there.
He's like the Tony Robbins, just to give the others a thought, he's like the Tony Robbins of Germans.
That's it. And I mean, he basically, I have to say that in that moment, like he basically took me, he shook me, and he was like, okay, girl, you really want to be like talking about some blah, blah, blah bullshit? And in his seminar, I realized, okay, I want to work with women. But one thing I realized afterwards is it's a certain way how, for example, these trainers work with people, and they get a lot of people in their boat. Why? Because in human design, we say we have over 70% generators, and that's people who generate constant energy. So if they have someone in front of them standing who either takes the energy of the others and they can accumulate it, they can magnify it, and everyone is like, wow, yeah. Or someone who themselves, like Tony Robbins, for example. I saw his chart and I was like, how cool. That man is a generating machine in the like real sense. So of course, he heightens the energy. So now we have to have in mind, and then we come back to the projector, like for example, you are getting like an overdose of energy in this seminar. You are maybe even heightened. It doesn't have to be, but many are like, yeah, no, let's do it. So, I know I move a lot. It's very so anyways, and then you come home and you fall in this hole. You are like really some even are getting to this point, it doesn't have to be depression, but they're like dead for maybe a week. And a lot of people are, and then some get back the energy and they're like, okay, let's do it. And others are just like, okay, wait a minute, what was that? And I think that's also the reason why for some it's then a success and for others it's not. For some it is working, for others it's not. The same thing like you said in your example, waking up. Can I do it one time? Just do it. So you wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and you have your coffee and then you do your run and then you do your exercises and you take your smoothie.
Your
and
journal.
You're journaling. Oh God, very important. You are going to journal minimum 30 minutes. And then what else? You get really
meditation.
Meditation. Oh God, scheiße, I didn't hear that. You guys know what I mean, you guys know what we mean? And then it's so funny. There's a video in the internet. It's from Marie Folio, and she has like a really cool video about like how she's playing this daily routine. And then it's already 4 o'clock and she comes into the like living room of her friends and she's like, so now I'm ready with my daily routine. And everyone is like already, you know, on the sofa crunching their chips. Like, okay, amazing. So what are you going to do? No, I'm going to start to work. So, and for some, they are totally exhausted. For some, they are out there. Yes, they feel like, I can't even take on much more. They read these things and they feel like, shit, everyone can do it. And I'm not even able. Like, why am I so tired? Why am I so exhausted? Why am I not able to wake up at 5 o'clock? Okay, in order to be successful, you need this discipline and then you're going to be successful. And I tell you something, guys, that's bullshit. That's absolute bullshit. Discipline to a certain degree, it can be beautiful and it is important. But there are, for example, types like the manifester. He works in waves. When he's up there, he can like, I don't know, lift mountains, but then he's down there. And if we don't, and I mean, some people in the community talk about yin and yang, but this is especially, there are also men out there, they need the other side. If you don't rest, how are you going to get up again? And then to also honor your own cycle. If you have a day where you fucking don't want to get on your mat and meditate, then just enjoy it. Don't beat yourself up. If you don't want to do yoga at all, then so what? Just because the world tells you yoga is the best thing, then don't do it. So I feel in so many ways much more through also human design that it's so much about allowance for who you are. What is your, like, this is why I'm also saying that live your design. Yeah. Don't let others decide for you. And if it works for others, there are people for them it's working 100%. If they do their power breathing in the morning, amazing. But I tell you 100%, the people for them who's working, they are probably generators or manifesting generators. If this is the other 3 types, if they are doing it, they are getting so exhausted at some point and probably burned out. And also the generators and the manifesting generators are 2 types who can get burned out because they take on too much. People from the outside perceive them as, wow, they have so much energy. So what happens? You meet them and you think, oh, I give them a little bit more. Oh, they can do this as well. They think, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I mean, I know I have energy. And at some point, if it's not in correlation with your inner voice, when you say yes, see, it's like not the real energy is flowing, not the energy you actually need in order to have a strong yes that gives you energy in the type like food, like healthy, like food that is good for you, soul food. And that's also your way to what do you say yes or no. And if you say yes to too many things you don't want to have, you end up maybe burned out, or you're getting bored, or you're getting like, and the same happens also like with projectors who are trying to live against their design, trying to act on things, or just waiting and thinking, oh my God, I'm not needed. You guys are needed so much in this world right now. And this is something, yeah. Like, so much love. Thank you. Thank you for giving me this space.
Always, always. No,
Uh,
but because that's one of the things that I found when you made the reading for me. Of course, it was a lot of things were confirmations because of my spiritual path. I had worked through everything, but I kept remembering how it was for me when I got out of Tobias Beck's workshop that I had at one point, and it was all excited and everything, and then and once you get down from that energy level, it's like, I don't fit in, and you feel like you don't belong in that group, and how are people going to like me if I'm not like that, like having all that. I worked through everything, and I'm grateful for that I got the human design at a point where it was more as a confirmation for everything that I was doing. But I use it for my coaching as well. We work together in that way. Also because I believe it brings out so many things. It's like it helps you. I think human design helps you to learn to love yourself the way you are, to accept yourself, accept your weight, like you said, finally become conscious of the waves that you have, like when I have a push, or when should I just go and lay down and watch Netflix for 3 days.
I don't even know how you do it, but yeah, okay.
No, and that's the other thing that it also helps understanding certain things, because I mean, you also did a reading for me, and because I have a partner that I do coachings with as well, and we did a human design chart reading for the both of us to see like where do we align, where how do we have to watch out for each other. And this also works for couples as well. And it was amazing. It was beautiful because I understood him better and he understood me better, even though he was like, is that really you? And I'm like, yeah, I feel like I resonate with everything that you said. And I was like, oh, interesting. Okay, finally. Now, remember, I think when we were talking about this, because we did a similar interview also for in German for my German podcast. And I remember because he was listening in at the same time, and he kept he just wrote in, finally now I have an instruction on how to May.
Yeah, I
and
know. Yeah.
and that was basically it. It was a wonderful, and this is how I see human design. And that's also one of the reasons why I like in my coaching start off with a human design reading with you for my clients, because it gives them a how-to for themselves and a bit deeper understanding about their character. Because it's not about, oh, you were born to become this or you were born to become that. It's about how do you work, how do you function, how does your energy system work, how is your character. Maybe some of you guys know the books of The Language of Love. And The Language of Love is similar like this, because it gives you like 5 different types of how we speak love, right? And human design is sort of a how to speak ourselves. Like, how do we communicate? How do we do all those things? Which I find amazing. So you already talked about projector and manifesting generators. Those are like the general types.
The general
How
type,
do
but
we put
can I give one example, because I had to smile, like,
yeah, go for it.
yesterday we were playing Catan. For the one who know, it's like this board game where you get your land and everything. It was so funny because I felt like we have 3 people on the table, at least like now I'm starting to perceive that much differently. They have a filled out ego center, and the filled out ego center is a beautiful thing. There are only 30% of society who have that. And the thing is, it can be beautiful, but it can also be really shitty, especially for the one who is at the table and who doesn't have it. So you have these 3 big egos who are very competitive and being in this like boom, 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 boom mode. And then this one who's kind of like, yeah, I give you the card. And I felt so bad. And then all of a sudden, there was like really a war going on. I mean, generally speaking, no, but generally speaking, I think board games can say a lot about different characters. Like, if you guys want to know your family better, play board games and you know where you are, like where you spotted. But it was in this moment where I realized, wow, man, there are like 3 characters who are quite similar at this table. And to come back to your question, as we have the generator, which is divided with the manifesting generator. approximately 70-72% in society. And both types are the doers, the ones that bring out the things, the ones they take it and they make it happen.
The Tony Robinses.
The Tony Robinses. The interesting thing is that the manifesting generator has manifesting energy in him, and most of the time it is that, for example, manifesting generators are the ones who are doing more than one thing. This is kind of like the multitaskers, and if they know how to treat it, and if they don't judge themselves, and if they put the energy in the right things, they are seen as superhumans in the outside world. It's like, wow, how can I have like 50 businesses at the same time, and and they're the ones, the Tony Robbins is probably, no, he's a generator, but like, they're the ones who are like, well, they can do that in the morning and they're super happy. They can also get up at 5 o'clock very, very easily because they have this constant energy flow, especially, and this is the cool thing, when they do things they love. When they do things they love, they have like it's kind of like a car, and you are driving the car, and you don't have even to stop the car because somehow magically the gas is flowing in. And you fly.
Like the perpetuum mobile, is that the English word? You know, the perpetuum mobile is the engine that is said that was built by Tesla that has and creates energy by itself. And runs and runs and runs and runs and never ends. That's like a generator on happy things.
Yeah, but this is a really important thing. You have generators who are very physically oriented, for example, also manifesting generators, but this, and then we come to the lines and to the channels. This is when it gets really interesting. Because
so you see everybody, there's a lot more detail underneath, but these are like the top level character types. Sorry.
The ones you can even research in the internet if you like. Yeah.
Yes.
So, but if it's really like to understand that, you have sometimes manifesting generators who need to do sportive activity, but actual sportive activity. Why? Because for them, it's so important to bring the energy down into their body, that they stay there and that they don't get in this overdoing mode, driven by their head, but I gotta do. And for them, it is also really important to understand they have to get basically out of energy when they go to that. Because if there's a rest of energy in the way also left, when you think about it, sometimes you do, me and you, we are no generators, but maybe you outside and you know it. And you are doing the whole day, but you are not satisfied at night. You go to bed and you turn around, and you can't sleep. And why is that? Because this is the rest energy that's still left there. You didn't really all get it out. And this could be, is not always the case, that you need to do sportive activity in order to bring the rest out and then really sleep well. That's something. And the other thing is to then check, what have I done all day? Did I say to things yes? I actually meant no. Did I say too many things yes? Or did I just say yes because I didn't want to have calm time? And because for the generator and the manifesting generator, it is really about responding to the outside world. And the manifesting generator, more than a generator, wants to go out and wants to initiate. They want to go out and they just want to do it. Important is, in order to have the right flow of energy, that they are getting initiated, that someone basically initiates them so they can say, I respond and I say yes. And maybe I just try to initiate as a generator, I put my energy into things and the energy is not flowing back. So this is the moment when it's good to draw yourself back. Sometimes answers from the outside world can just come when you walk through a park. And then the moment when you take a breath and you get maybe an impulse. And you get a possibility to answer. And then you can say, oh, okay. And maybe it's time for not doing more. For all generators out there, ask yourself, please, right now, in this really, really important phase, is it really time to do course number 3055? Do you really, really, really need something else? Or is it really time to just be and just sit? And I think for some of us, yes, it's amazing. Yeah, go out and learn more, take more in. And then for others, it's actually time to take everything in they already learned, because so many people are out there, and I'm regarding myself like that, an education junkie. I love education. This is amazing. I have this portfolio of different things. Great, makes me to the person I am. But I also think it's important to digest. And also, energetically speaking, if we only have our energy, then we are kind of more in the traditional Chinese medicine. But there you can also see, you have aspects of that in human design as well. You have here fire, doing. If only the fire in the air, this one says, make it. This one says, yeah, let's do it. Oh, this one, another idea. Oh yeah, let's do it. So you get totally in this overdoing mode, and then to take yourself back and be like, and that's something for the projector, for the manifestor and the reflector, essential that they take this alone time, that they take the time to take and withdraw. Because if they don't withdraw from the world, they're stuck in the energy of others, especially the reflector. The reflector is only 2 to 3% in society, and reflectors, there we are really in the high sensible zone. They don't have any closed or defined energy center, which means, just imagine, all energy comes from the outside. So to understand for a reflector which one is my energy and which one is theirs, it's the toughest thing to do. And to have this time to really feel and to really go like inside of yourself in order to differentiate between the outside world and yourself. And by the way, if you look at what is each type doing, then the reflector is the one who analyzes the whole process. The other ones, there's the manifestor, he initiates, the projector, he guides, the manifesting generator and the generator, they put it into place. And then there's the reflector, and he looks at it and he's like, was that actually working or not? And for the manifestor, that's actually, it's crazy times, it's interesting times also, because the manifestor has to find themselves in a new way. They have, it's said in human design that they have been the dictators, the priests, the kings, the queens, the ones who wanted in some ways not only powerfully but forcefully put their power through. And nowadays we are having a shift in energy. What we can also see what is happening now. It's not about pushing through. It's about acceptance, understanding. And this is why this puts nowadays the projectors in this new role of guiding. Taking the person beside you lovingly by the hand and say, you and me, let's walk. And let's see what's there. And the projector, most of the time when they grow up, they're more interested in everything else, in like other times to like, hey, what is really going on with me? And that makes it also very, very beautiful. So you guys also see now how these different energy types work with each other. I think that's a different interview than we had for the first time. I'm like, I feel like I learned a lot the last 4 months. I'm like, like how you see, like I did the education, crazy.
Definitely, but I loved how you gave every different energy type a guidance for this transition that we're having right now. So just a quick work through. The ones that we have least on the planet, it's reflectors, and those guys need to reflect right now for themselves. We have the manifestors that are there to create, but also have to watch out whenever they have to take a break. Because right now we have like a collective taking a break time, right?
Yeah, but so for the manifestor, one thing is really important, to find lovingly what they want to initiate. Instead of putting it forcefully out, to understand what is it right now. If you have an impulse and it's really for the world or for the community or for the good, where you can feel, I can bring myself in, then to go for it. The hard part for the manifestor is he always has lovers and haters. And to understand, he wants to be recognized, and to understand that you can only concentrate on the ones, and these ones you might be able to initiate, but not in a sense of I'm manipulating you, more in a sense of I see your strength, let's do this. And then the projector can respond, or that they can wait for the invitation, and they can say, interesting. You know what? I'm emotional. My emotional authority tells me I should wait a night. And if you wake up in the morning and you think, yeah, let's do it. This invitation, I love it. I would love to do it. And then they go out just to understand the process. Then the projector goes out and goes maybe to the generators and the manifesting generators and says, hey guys, are we ready to do that? It doesn't mean, by the way, I said that in one of my lives, that, for example, the manifesting generator and the generator, they can't be bosses. This is, again, it's an individual design. So sometimes, yes, of course, they are bosses. They are coaches or trainers or whatever. They also have this inside of them, of course. Sorry,
Yeah,
but I interrupted.
I think no, but this is very interesting to know. Also, I think a good point that you put out there. These are guidelines. These are not set in stone. These are not set in how do you put it? Like you have to be like this or you have to be that way. But it's guidelines to give you better understanding of yourself. And I mean, these are like the 5 types that we have at the moment on this planet as human beings. And it gives you a better understanding of how you have to be, where you have to be, what you have to, like, yeah, it's like I said, it's a characteristic, like how do I deal with things? For example, because you said the projector, in my case, I have to listen. It's very important for me to listen to my intuition. And we were talking about the partner that does the other coachings with me. For him, it's important to get insights from everywhere and then decide where he wants to go. Mm-hmm. And I think those are things that are important to find out. How do I take those kind of decisions? Because then it makes it easier for me to, oh, okay, I'm just gonna go, like if I get the impulse of, like, in my case, it gave me even more confirmation to just even more follow my intuition and not just, start thinking through the whole process. Mm-hmm. Because once I start thinking, it's not good for me. It turns out into a different way, right? So
that's interesting. With the I want to do it in the next couple of days, the authority of the spleen, because the authority of the spleen, if you have that, that's our intuition, but also they are our basic fears. And the authority of the spleen is really what we call this moment where you get this inner voice who says now to you, yes, or now to you, no. But if it doesn't, or if you miss this moment because you are not used, for example, you are, but there's so many people out there, they are not there, they shut it down. So what happens is basically that there is this inner voice saying something and they make the head as an authority. And this moment is also, it could change. And I think this is also an important thing. Now, this is what you want. Now, there might be something else. And for others, when they see you in the outside world, they might look at you, by the way, I have that as well. They look at us and they say, very indecisive. No, it's not indecisive. It's just another moment, and in this other moment. And this is how others, when they have other authorities, they're getting crazy with you, because they're like, oh my God, like if these people are really connected, now she changed her mind again. And it's also a woman thing, I don't know, but yeah, this is very beautiful about that.
Very true. But I also feel that the changing of your mind, the more I listen to my intuition, the less I have this indecisiveness.
Absolutely.
I feel that the indecisiveness is stronger once my head starts to go against it. Because then it's like, okay, let's do this way. And then the intuition goes like, no, but we want it to go that way. And then we start going that way. And then the head goes, no, let's go this way.
Totally.
But these are basically the reasons why exactly right now, during this very important and interesting times that we're going through, a human design reading can actually really help you to dig deeper into your character, into who you are, into how you just heard Kim also talk about how it also reflects your fears, and which is also, I think that's like the interesting and important part right now, is because right now I feel that on the planet we're not having I mean, of course, in the media, it's all about the coronavirus, but I feel that everybody, and I'm really going through everybody, because I think even like the most enlightened coaches are going through those things right now, because we all have fears that come up in one or the other way. We, how do you say, we try to how do you say, deflate? No, we project the fear onto the corona, but it's there. And we can use different kinds of things, for example, like a human design reading, to understand those fears a little bit better, or not just a little bit better, to understand them better and to actually do something about them so that they can be transformed, changed, and so that we can make this transition that we're going through right now even more beautiful and easier on everybody.
Absolutely. I mean, wonderfully said. Thank you so much. No, but I really have this impression that's also for the ones who might be right now thinking, even if you are with business partners and you question that, you question where could we get after this phase together? How can we maybe even to think about could also be that you don't feel that you live all your strength or your whatever is there inside, or maybe you feel exhausted, or maybe you're just curious what is there, like what is, how do I, for example, why do I perceive so much from the outside world? And this is all this beauty. And I think I talked about this yesterday in my yoga life, that I found it so incredible how, and we talked about it yesterday as well, how people have the strategies in order to not deal with fears. And this is for me so amazing, to kind of see everyone has their own strategy, from like total designation to overdoing to being like, okay, now I gotta, I talked about yesterday with Sibylle Hemmelsmith, with who I had an interview about the fact that we kind of, it's more about being than now going out and doing even more, or having affirmations, you put them out and maybe they don't work and you can't feel them. And to, first of all, the layer, I feel when an affirmation, for example, doesn't work, there's a layer behind, underneath it. If you just say to yourself, I'm pretty, I'm pretty, I'm pretty, you can put it on all your mirrors. And it might work one day. But if you don't feel it, and if you don't look behind, maybe it doesn't have to be the why, but to just feel for once that there might be a fear of rejection. And to understand the fear of rejection is not killing you. This fear of rejection doesn't make you a worse human being or whatever. To just be with it. Brene, oh, I love her. Do you know Brene? How was her name?
Brene Brown. Yes, Brene Brown.
Oh, she talks about shame, and she talks about, especially in her books, the topic of to understand. Yes, that's it. To communicate with you can, if you communicate certain things, even fear of rejection, you can connect, because you are not, seriously, you are not the only one who has that. But if you talk it away, then it's still there on a subconscious level, and it's coming out in the moments when you, for example, want to express certain things. So I think it's important to go these levels and to take this time of really facing what is there and who do I want to be in maybe also a simpler way after this. Maybe watching for environment more, maybe being more conscious with people surrounding me, maybe being more humble with myself, maybe with not needing so much things that I needed before, or making new decisions. And I think it's a beautiful chance to that is what is happening in some ways. Not maybe in that way, and I do understand also the other side, but to go this place and to take it what it is right now.
Definitely.
But I think one thing we should also talk about is your conquest, because in some ways,
I wanted to say this. I was just about to say this to all of you guys.
God, I could talk to you forever, but guys,
we have to. We're already almost going to an hour, so no. But I just wanted to give a shout out to everybody who speaks German out there, because I know in your group there's a couple of people that speak German, and maybe some of my followers do too. So for you guys, if you haven't heard, I'm doing an online summit this weekend. It's called Meiwengel Congress, and it's going to be especially about techniques, how to use this time right now so that we all together can create a better and more beautiful world when we come out of this. And just to give you a heads up, if this all goes well this weekend, no, I know it's going to go well. We're going to do the same thing in English in a couple of weeks. So stay tuned definitely here on the podcast or on my site, or follow me wherever you want to. And then stay tuned, because we'll definitely do something like this in English as well. Yay!
Cool. We put each other's information then also
Exactly.
in the show notes, and yeah, that's
for
an
all of you
important
guys
one,
interested in working with Kim. I don't know, do you have an English site for the human design, or?
No, but I found out for some miraculous reason, if you are going on my website and you are in an English speaking country, it pops up in English. So somehow, yes, it's really cool. Like, I don't know why.
Chrome translates by itself.
Yeah, I hope Google translates as well. If not, I also give you the link for that. And but for you guys, one important thing is that the question I just thought about, because I was thinking, what did we talk about the most? What is the strategy of the generator? So what is the strategy of the generator? That's the question. We talked about it in very many levels. I give you a little tip for the ones who are like, oh, I don't know. There's a little life just on the generator. And there's also possibility to just listen to the live as well. But you can, of course, also page, just, on the Facebook page, right? But if not, you may be like, oh, amazing. We finish, like I will do on my side, and then May will communicate it on Monday next week, we said, no? Which would be the 5th.
No, I'm gonna set it up right now.
Okay.
Everything is going to be posted online today. So, oh yeah, I know where you're going with this. So you listen to the question. So what is the strategy of the generator?
That's
if you
your
want
question.
to go back, re-listen to this episode, because if you remember, you can send an email to Kim, and you're gonna get a 60-minute human design reading for yourself. You can win one for yourself. So that's why I'm putting up all the contacts underneath. If you're interested in a 60-minute human design reading with Kim, send the strategy of the generator straight to her, and she's gonna
hello@dasherzeiner-frau.de, but we put it underneath.
We're gonna put
underneath. Put your name, put the answer, and now the D-Day is actually, I looked at it. Which month am I in? This is so crazy.
I don't know, but I think you mean April 5th. Midnight, April 5th.
Midnight, April 5th.
But what time zone? Peruvian time zone, midnight?
No, we do the German time zone, so the classical European middle. So you guys kind of can, and if you are, I'm really like, something around that, plus minus one.
Send it in until 5th of April, and Kim is going to look into her inbox on April 6th and is going to pick one.
And I draw you from it on a live screen, so you can see my name is in there, and then we take it out. And then for everything else, I will write you in detail, and then you get your 60-minute charts.
So we're going to put everything in there. And for those of you who don't want to participate in the definitely do participate in it, because it's a chance to get a free reading. But for those of you who are interested, just contact, or who are listening to this after the April 5th, just go for it. I can just recommend, this is going to explain to you a lot of things about yourself. It's going to give you new insights about yourself. A human design reading can really bring a lot of more knowledge to yourself. So I highly recommend it. And all the friends that I recommended to Kim have all been so extremely happy because of it. And so just go for it.
Oh God, thank you so much. And then
thank you, Kim, because I know also that you're the way you are is just so wonderful. And I know that a lot of people I actually have two friends that were with a different person, and they said, no, at first they were like, I don't understand half of it. And then they went to you, and they had really good experiences. So I highly recommend, if you're interested in human design, Kim's a very good person to go to.
And the Wandelkongress, the Wandelkongress, and the link we put in there's mini Wandelkongress. It's a mini one, yes. We put into the live as well. And now
Yes.
I would like to know if there are maybe questions.
Oh yeah.
No, it stops.
And while Kim is checking out the Facebook people, I'm gonna say goodbye to all of our podcast listeners. Yes, thank you, Kim, so much for making this interview with me.
Thank you for the work you are bringing out to the world. It's like, wow. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
No questions, it seems. Everybody's like, oh my God. So yeah, have a good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us in this live. And
have a great into April.
Yes.
Bye, everybody.